Hi, I'm Joshua Phillip, and welcome to Read the News. This week we'll be covering the pending court case between Apple Computers and the FBI. This week, a federal magistrate ordered Apple to aid the FBI in unlocking a terrorist's cell phone. The terrorist in question was the one who planned and committed the San Bernardino killings in California. The government, the FBI, has wisely seized onto this case as kind of the center point of an ongoing argument between government security forces and technology companies about what should be accessible and what shouldn't. The cell phone in question isn't, there's no privacy issues because it was owned by the company that the terrorist worked for, and the company has given permission for the FBI to look through the phone. However, the FBI can't break the Apple encryption that's on there. So they went to a judge using the All Writs Act of 1789, which states, courts may issue all writs necessary or appropriate in aid of their respective jurisdictions and agreeable to the usages and principles of the law. Which basically means courts can tell you to do whatever they want you to do as long as it's not breaking the law. And so the FBI is asking Apple to not necessarily break the encryption on the phone, but to develop an update for it that would remove the 10-try limit on passwords, so that the FBI could brute force password break it into it and find out what's on the cell phone. However, it was a company cell phone. The terrorist destroyed his personal cell phone before he was killed, so the chances of there actually being any relevant information on this cell phone is actually pretty slim. Apple, well, alongside that, has several arguments. One of the major ones is that it's a slippery slope to all Apple devices being able to be unlocked with this. Once the U.S. government is able to order Apple to do this, there's nothing to stop China and Russia from also ordering Apple to do this. And even though we may be able to trust the FBI with such capabilities, I doubt we can trust Russia with them, and probably not China either. Apple also has another slightly less altruistic reason to fight this. We've got Sam Itch, 6-year veteran from Panini and acclaimed hero of the Grinder War, near the Apple headquarters. Sam, does Apple stand to have significant profit loss and stock price drop if it's found that the encryption on their devices is broken?
Yes.
Thanks, Sam. So aside from the massive security risks and huge profit loss, Apple also argues that there is no real clear and present danger to unlocking this phone, A, because of the unlikeliness of there being any relevant information on it, but also because of its owner being dead. So they don't think it's really appropriate for the government to order them to unlock this phone either, especially considering the risks. We now go to Chuck for some advice.
Thanks, Josh. Today we're going to be covering a question from a concerned dad in Santa Clara. Dear Chuck, my 16-year-old perfect kid came to us in a very adult-like, saying it was time for her to go on the pill. We knew she had a boyfriend, but didn't realize it was serious. Despite my initial impulse to kill him and stick my daughter in a coven, we discussed it as a family and agreed she should see a gynecologist. She also had a long talk with her mother about sex. And with me a few days later, when I sat down alone with her, she was embarrassed. But I don't care. I'm her father. Fast forward to last week, she left her iPad on the living room floor, and while I was using it, popped up explicit pictures of not only her, but her boyfriend and other guys and girls. Her mother and I talked about how to handle this. I suggested therapy and pulling her from school. My wife disagreed. She accused me of violating our daughter's personal property, and it's none of my business. I may be old-fashioned, but my daughter, whom I love more than life, needs to know this is not okay. She's still a child despite thinking like an adult, and as a child, she needs guidance. Am I wrong? Do you have any resources for me on handling my daughter's sexual impulses? Well, Dad, I suggest you pretty much just tell her straightforward there can be severe and horrible consequences from having sex. There's all kinds of diseases out there and all kinds of things that people can get that will affect you for not just a few weeks, but the rest of your life. And that she may not be able to understand these consequences, and it's best to listen to your parents because they're your parents.
All right. Thank you, Chuck. So, how is this Apple FBI case likely to shake out? The government historically tends to win cases like this, where the writ of 1789 is involved, and where any kind of national security is really involved too. However, in the future, if it is the case that the FBI can force companies to help them unlock their phones, companies could up the ante and make it impossible even for them to unlock these phones. But ultimately, I think it's good that Apple is digging their heels in and saying no to the government, because it gives us the chance, while this case is in high profile, it gives us as the American people a chance to weigh in and let our voices be heard, and also pressure our Congress to make some laws that we approve of that support or that clearly define the line between privacy and security, and what the FBI can do in their investigations and what we don't want them to do, where the line is too far. That's Read the News for this week. If you'd like to check out any relevant links to this story, I will put them in the doobly-doo. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments section for us. Thank you. On location at Edison Elementary in Detroit Public Schools, where teachers who can't legally strike have instead coordinated sick days in order to shut down schools